What if a city didn't rise upward, but stretched outward? What if democracy had a geography, a shape, a scale, a horizon? And what if the future of America wasn't in skyscrapers at all, but in sunlight, farmland, and a single acre of freedom? Hold that thought, because everything you think you know about cities' density, infrastructure, public space, even freedom itself, is about to be challenged. In 1932, Frank Lloyd Wright unveiled the most ambitious project of his entire career, a project so large, so philosophical, so radical, that it wasn't truly architecture anymore. It was a civilization, a complete reimagining of how humans should live, work, move, and belong. This is Broadacre City, Wright's sprawling, utopian, controversial vision. Part architectural theory, part political manifesto, part ecological prophecy. We're going to loop through three questions. Questions Wright asked in the ashes of the Great Depression, questions we still ask today, and questions that, strangely, remain unanswered. What is freedom? What is community? And what should the future look like? Every section of this video will set up an expectation, an idea Wright believed would save America, and then we'll test it against history, against the built world, against ourselves, because Broadacre isn't just a plan, it's a provocation. The Great Depression has broken the spine of American industry. Breadlines stretch longer than avenues. Cities feel swollen, tense, exhausted. Skyscrapers scrape the sky, but not the despair. To Frank Lloyd Wright, Manhattan isn't a triumph. It's a warning, a dense vertical cage, where individuality suffocates beneath steel, noise, and speculation. He wants the opposite. He wants space not for the wealthy, but for everyone. He wants democracy drawn in acres, not in zoning maps. He wants architecture to restore what he believed America had lost: dignity, privacy, sunlight, nature. These are the first promises we loop into. And by the end, we'll see whether Wright kept them or unintentionally created the blueprint for a very different America. Broadacre begins with a single revolutionary rule. Every family receives 1 acre of land, not rented, not borrowed, not mortgaged into oblivion, owned. With that acre, you can build, plant, dream, or expand. Wright imagines a nation where people don't live stacked. They live spread. No landlords, no slums, no metropolitan hierarchy. Instead, Eonian homes, small workshops, local marketplaces, gardens and orchards, electric towers connecting communities like a web of light, highways as ribbons of freedom. And this is the most radical part. No traditional city center at all. Broadacre rejects the idea of the urban core. To Wright, centralized power, governmental, economic, or architectural, was fundamentally anti-democratic. Instead, democracy lived in space, sunlight, access to land, and the autonomy of the individual. This is a promise, a seductive one, a dangerous one, a distinctly American one. At Taliesin, Wright and his apprentices begin building Broadacre in miniature, a model 12 by 12 feet, a landscape more imagined than drawn, a nation more sculpted than planned. Tiny farms cluster around open fields. Eonian homes stretch into the horizon. Roads carve clean lines through farmland. Train stations, airports, and monorails hum quietly at the edges. Radio towers stitch the settlement together through invisible threads. Standing above the model, Wright makes a declaration. This is the city of the future. And here is where we set our first loop. Was Wright right? We'll return to this question again and again as we follow Broadacre from ideal to influence, to unintended consequence. Broadacre is not possible without the Eonian House, Wright's answer to affordable, democratic architecture. Radiant floors, open plans, carports instead of garages, modular elements, natural materials, low roofs that settle gently into the landscape. The Eonian home is not about status. It is about clarity. It is a machine for modest living. Not mass production, but mass dignity. Could the Eonian House actually fix society? Could architecture truly rebalance humans and nature? The collapse of public space and the ecological crises Wright never lived to see. For Wright, the car is not a machine of pollution. It is a machine of personal freedom. In Broadacre, families travel independently. Goods move efficiently. The road replaces the rail as the artery of democracy. Highways become the grand boulevards of the future. But here again, we plant a question. Did Wright predict the future? Or did he accidentally help create one of America's greatest problems? The answer is complicated, and it's coming. When Wright unveiled Broadacre, critics split into two groups. Group one, the visionaries. They saw Broadacre as a blueprint for sustainable land use, localized governance, environmental harmony, democratized ownership. Group two, the critics. They feared endless sprawl, car dependency, isolated communities, the death of public life, the erasure of urban culture. And ironically, both sides were right. Post-war America embraced Broadacre's form, but not its soul. The highways came, but without the ecology. The subdivisions came, but without the artistry. The acre came, but without the democracy. Wright imagined a landscape shaped by vision. America built one shaped by mortgages. This is the third stage, the tragedy of influence without interpretation. Broadacre was built everywhere and nowhere. It shaped the rise of the suburbs, the environmental movement, the Greenbelt debate, the concept of distributed cities, eco-village design, low-density utopian experiments, modular home prototypes. Even when Wright was wrong, he was influential. Even when Broadacre failed, it succeeded in reshaping thought. Broadacre was less a plan than a provocation, one that still lingers in today's debates over urban density, housing crises, climate resilience, rural revitalization, and the ethics of land ownership. It forces us to ask the question Wright never stopped asking: what kind of society do our cities create? And is that the society we actually want? After all this, the models, the acres, the highways, the sunlight, Broadacre leaves us with a final expectation that architecture can shape democracy. But can it? Or does democracy shape architecture? This loop doesn't close, it remains open, waiting, provoking, inviting us to answer. Broadacre City wasn't a solution, it was a mirror. And when we look into it today, we see a reflection of the choices we still haven't made. If this deep dive into Frank Lloyd Wright's unbuilt utopia inspired you, subscribe to Space, Shape, and Scale, where we explore the ideas, revolutions, and contradictions that shape the architecture of the modern world. Drop your thoughts below. Could Broadacre ever work today? Should cities grow upward or outward? What would your acre look like? Then click into the next video in the series to keep the thread unbroken. Every structure we study adds a tool to your kit, a way to see, a way to draw, a way to live. Because architecture never stops, and neither do we.